I just want to briefly welcome everyone who has just joined the Blue Room for the next presentation. My name is Steffi. I work at the Goethe-Institut Los Angeles, and I'm one of your moderators for this room. If you just joined and you are a teacher who is live streaming the event with your class, it would be great if you could just in a chat briefly say where you are and how many of your students are joining us. Thank you for that. I want to let you also know that this presentation will be recorded and later uploaded on our YouTube channel, the YouTube channel of the Goethe-Institut in the US and New York. The upcoming presentation is titled Apprenticeship Programs and Dual Education in Germany and the US. Matthew Allen, our presenter, is the Director of Careers in Education for the GACC in New York. He has studied the German dual education apprenticeship system extensively and is a certified German standard mentor trainer. He has been with the GACC since 2009. Prior to joining the GACC, Mr. Allen studied physics at Clemson University and human resources management at NYU. Helen, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The program that I'm discussing is a little bit different than some of the discussions on Germany and German education up to now, and I'm glad that we're getting a chance to include this in the program. I would like to start off by thanking the Goethe-Institut for putting this excellent program together, first off. So what the apprenticeship system is kind of a separate pathway for education and career development that has historical context both in the U.S. and in Germany. This goes back, I guess, to the Middle Ages. We see a lot of development of skills. When you have trades or other jobs that take time to get used to the very specific needs to have high quality output that is at least as good as the generation before you, but ideally is continuing to improve. You really need to have this sort of a system in place. The U.S. has been doing a great job in this in a lot of the trades, construction, plumbing, electrical, those sorts of things. And there are a lot of what we call in the U.S. non-traditional sectors for apprenticeship, though. In Germany, they are part of the way the economy works. So I wanted to get into a little bit of the background on the German system and then explain what we're doing in the German Chamber to support this. Oops, looks like we're going backwards a little bit. Let's see what happens. So in a German apprenticeship program, oh dear, let's see. I think I might not be the only one controlling this. Let me see what happens if I can stay on a slide. So the German style of apprenticeship includes both training in a job at a company and an academic component that balances it with both theoretical training in the specific job and an academic component that supports a long-term community development. The goal of the programs is to build sustainable communities with the jobs in the center of the communities. So the way that we interpret the German system for the U.S. is to work with the Department of Labor from the federal side and also with the states to integrate German elements into the U.S. system and to help expand out the opportunities into these non-traditional sectors. In Germany, the German Chamber of Commerce is the organization that provides the infrastructure to make apprenticeships work. Our head office in Berlin, which is the DIHK, provides infrastructure and sends that out to the local offices, the IHKs, the Industrie- and Handelskammern, and the trades chambers, the Handwerkskammer, throughout the country, and allows them to integrate with both local training academies and with local employers to provide these training opportunities to young people. What we do in that system and also here in the U.S. is ensure that there's a quality standard that each of the employers is adhering to. In Germany, all employers are required to, for one thing, be members of the German Chamber of Commerce, but also to employ apprentices and to be part of this system of sustainable development of skills. In the U.S., we don't have that sort of requirement sort of system. So what we end up seeing is incentive programs from state and federal governments, as well as industry initiatives that come up from industry collectives and colleges that are interested in developing these programs. On the screen, you see a couple of the features of the German model. These are the features that make it a little different, that differentiate it from the American programs. In the U.S., the way that you have an official American registered apprenticeship is a company needs to be in charge, and they need to develop a training plan and adhere to that training plan. This needs to be at least a year-long program, sometimes up to 3 years, and it needs to have some sort of related technical instruction. And all of that needs to be registered with the Department of Labor, and the program gets reviewed, certified, and over the course of the time that the company promised to train, they have to meet their obligations by signing off on logbooks that they are training the things that they said that they would. In Germany, there is a collective nature to the program that ensures a little bit higher quality standard. The possibility is there in the U.S. system that a trainer could manipulate a logbook and not actually train the skill that they're supposed to, or not provide the support to an apprentice that they say that they're going to. What we've seen in the U.S. system is that there have been some instances of apprentices that are demotivated and leave programs during their apprenticeship, and also who get a what we call a journey worker certification and then just leave the company right away. This has reduced the interest in employers in investing in these programs. So in the German system, since all employers are part of this, what we're able to do is have the employers provide each other with checks and balances. At the beginning of a program, all of the trainers are required to go through what we call a didactic training course, where they receive instructions and practical experience on how to provide training and how to provide mentorship to apprentices. The companies then, including those trainers and the leadership of the companies, coordinate on a regular basis in what's called training standards boards. Those organizations come together to ensure that the training that's happening in the apprenticeship programs is effective for the industry, and that each of the companies that is involved is going to be supporting that training and providing it in a way that's actually advancing the industry in the way that all of the industry partners need. So this has the effect of having competitors become invested in each other's success. It lets communities grow effectively with their employers. And then at the end of the program, the apprentices will take tests in their theoretical programs, but they'll also be examined on their on-the-job training competencies. So in the U.S. system, where you have logbooks that are checked to say that the training has been administered, in the German system, you have an examination that the apprentice is held accountable for successfully retaining and applying the training that they receive. So in the U.S., we're in the process of trying to roll out German standard, German style programs. We have them in 14 or 15 states, depending on the way you count. Pennsylvania and Pittsburgh, we have a rich program that's in the process of getting certified, so they're not on the map right now, but they are one of the states that we're rolling out this initiative in. New Jersey is another in our region where we're very focused. Governor Phil Murphy, who was the former ambassador to Germany for the U.S. under President Obama, is now moving forward with this initiative in cooperation with the German Chamber and using our input on the best practices. So we're very excited about those opportunities to coordinate with local partners to ensure that these programs have the best chance for sustainable development. This is just a quick list. I'm not going to get into the details, but these are the over 100, oops, oh my goodness. Let's see if we can stay on a slide. These are the over 100 employers that are working with us. The German Chamber is the Department of Labor sponsor for the registrations for the apprenticeship of each of these companies. So what we do is we take off that administrative burden from the company so that they're able to focus on the actual training. And we provide them with the training plan, which comes directly from Germany. In the U.S., another thing about the programs with the Department of Labor is that technically the companies are allowed to register any training that they find is appropriate as long as the Department of Labor approves it. So we find multiple programs with the same titles and multiple programs with the same titles that actually are not similar to each other or in the same industries. So in Germany, there's one program for electrical engineering or electrical component manufacturer or manufacturing and machining, tool and die. Each one of these only has one curriculum that's accessible. So we have the access to those programs, being that our organization is the one that administers these. And we bring those over, we bring over the competency tests, and we integrate them into the training at those companies. In addition, we're looking at the industry clusters that go beyond the programs that we're running. And we're trying to provide that infrastructure that approves those, that allows those companies to be successful in their training to the companies that are training without having us be their sponsor. There are a lot of different industry organizations that are advancing these type of programs, and there are different companies that are doing it well on their own. So we encourage them to take advantage of trainer training as well as competency tests to ensure that the quality standards are there and that the trainers have the ability to make the apprentices more successful. We also advocate for these industry clusters where companies that tend to perceive themselves as competitors become instrumental in each other's success. This is a map just kind of glancing at New Jersey to emphasize that in the state there's quite a bit of manufacturing, which is one of the sectors that we focus on. A lot of times the Northeast is not perceived as being a place where things are actually made anymore. That's not actually accurate. In fact, in New Jersey, where infrastructure is quite expensive, you still find quite a bit of manufacturing, especially because the advanced manufacturing that needs to, that has the footprint here has critical needs regarding logistics access. So the fact that we have the ports here and the highways and the train systems makes it a very ideal situation. Unfortunately, there is a growing lack of skilled workers that can get into these high-tech jobs. So some of these companies are looking to moving out of the area. Unfortunately, a lot of times when they move out of the area, it doesn't solve their skills problems. It just makes their costs on a day-to-day basis a little bit lower, and then they end up having to move again to another lower cost area, and this cycle repeats until eventually that company is not in the game. So we try to encourage the companies to recognize that getting a sustainable footprint on their succession planning and their skills growth is more effective than trying to reduce their bottom line. In 2018, we initiated with the governor's office and several partners, including the Labor and Workforce Development Department of New Jersey, the Education Department, and multiple colleges, a roundtable to discuss what is. We identified that indeed the apprenticeship is in focus from the perspective of the employers. They're ready to make investments, and they're excited about the potential for apprenticeship. So going forward in 2019, we began to integrate our program with these employers, and Governor Murphy kicked off our program in August of this year, where we're very small and intending to stay small to host two companies that are going to fulfill the entire heavy German model, where they're going to be running a 3-year apprenticeship program which integrates with an associate's degree in mechatronics, which is the combination of mechanical and electrical engineering, and then have their apprentices complete the German-style competency test at the end of the program. At the same time, we're also working with several different partners who are running their own larger programs. For example, the county colleges of New Jersey are running an initiative with the Department of Labor to ramp up 1,600 new apprentices in New Jersey over the course of the next 4 years, and we're integrating our sustainability elements into those programs as well. So with all those pieces in play, we're very excited about the opportunities. There's over 8,000 apprentices just in New Jersey right now, and that represents a 40% growth in programs over the course of the last year and a half, 2 years, since the beginning of 2018. As I kind of alluded to before, the company is going to have to make an investment in these programs, and they recognize that. They see that there is a lack of skilled labor, and as they recognize that making the investments into a sustainable career path for young people to grow with their company, they're able to be competitive in the market and be integral to their communities. So they pay high wages. In New Jersey, there's a minimum of $15 per hour starting, and this is when an apprentice begins training. They're earning $15 an hour. Growing over the course of the apprenticeship with milestones that make sure that by the time that they finish the apprenticeship, they're making at least $20 or so per hour. And then this is supposed to be along the process of a growth career trajectory. And there's also college tuition, which the apprentices are not held accountable for. The companies are also there to pay for the academic portion of the program and provide an associate's degree at the minimum. Some programs also integrate with a bachelor's degree. At the end, the apprentice becomes an integral part of the investment strategy for the company, and again becomes part of their succession planning and strategy for innovation. Train the Trainer is probably the most effective piece where the German Chamber sees our part of this going forward. We are rolling out a ramped up focus on this and are going to continue to develop that over the next year, mainly in New Jersey and New York. But as I showed that map earlier, this is also happening in the Midwest and the Southeast. The Western U.S. is also a target which we're concentrating on to see what opportunities are in development. German industry has a different footprint there, and our German Chamber office in San Francisco is the one that's going to be taking the lead on that. This is our team in the Northeast. We have Rachel Maurer in our Pittsburgh chapter, who's running the program with 15 employers there. Susanna Reza, who's in charge of our Philadelphia office, is supporting the employers there who are eager to start a collective, collaborative. Officially, there's no program there right now. And Alexandra Hoffman is in charge of our apprenticeship network in New Jersey. So that's kind of a background. I will say that I recognize a lot of the participants in this group are coming from a bachelor's or a master's targeted career path. It's something to notice that this is a skills component, as these companies are going to be German and U.S. and from other countries as well. There's not necessarily a singular academic path that needs to be followed, although having a German background is definitely very, very influential, especially in manufacturing where there is a historical cooperation between the U.S. and Germany. I will say that with my background, where I studied physics and German in my bachelor's degree, that my intention at that point was to go into manufacturing. It wasn't as effective for developing a manufacturing career path as I had expected due to the theoretical nature of the bachelor's program. There is the opportunity through apprenticeship to combine with a bachelor's degree. William Patterson University in New Jersey, for example, has a bachelor's degree program that combines with both a healthcare and with an IT tracked apprenticeship. There's also the ability to finish a bachelor's degree and then go into an apprentice tracked job career path. These are various career models that are possible. The interest in the desire for the German Chamber to develop apprenticeship specifically for these skilled jobs comes from both the perspective of supporting the companies with their skills gap needs and the communities that we see where there are people who need to develop a strategy for getting an education and a career path started without having a challenging debt situation, and also being able to stay in their communities and grow with them. So that's a little bit of a primer regarding, an introduction regarding the German Chamber programs and apprenticeship as a career path and education development strategy, which the German economy integrates very well and which the U.S. economy is developing quite rapidly. So I think that my time is probably approximately up, and I'd be very interested in taking any questions.
Thank you so much, Matthew, for your presentation on the opportunities and especially I think a concept that might not of apprenticeship that might not be so common here in the U.S. I want to open the discussion to questions from the listeners, but I also have questions that kind of came up while you were talking, which is, I think you said something about kind of a dual system, and we're going into it a little bit, but could you expand more on how apprenticeships could potentially be combined with a bachelor's degree or a university degree?
Yes, that's actually a good point. The word dual is one that I never said, but is behind the scenes. In Germany, it's called dual education or dual vocational education and training. Those words don't always translate so easily, but the idea of combining both academics with skills training is at the core of the German system. So what we're looking at is ways to coordinate with educators. As I said, William Patterson is one university. New Jersey Institute of Technology is another, which are integrating apprenticeships into bachelor's degrees. The one thing I will say, the tendency in an apprenticeship is to combine them with associate's degrees, just because the community colleges tend to have the resources on site more often than the four-year colleges to train for the specific work environments which you're going to see in places like manufacturing. There are very complex manufacturing machines that are in use right now, such as CNC, which is they're automated milling machines, where it's a computer programming job, which includes the need to program sometimes up to 5 axes of cutting machines, which can be anything from laser cutting to vibrating cutting to something like a water jet. And to understand the material dynamics and as well as the computer programming side, there's a certain amount of the infrastructure that's needed where you can actually get in with these machines firsthand. So the associate's degree paths, which end up being something like mechatronics or mechanical engineering associates, are a lot of the introduction pathways which we see as aligning very well to the actual apprenticeship. And once an apprenticeship is finished, which tends again to be over the course of 3 years as opposed to a traditional 2-year associate's degree, most of the companies that you're going to be working with want to encourage that next step for a bachelor's degree and have continuing education support. So if someone's at the beginning of their consideration for higher education, a high school student, they can look at this program as an opportunity to get their education potentially completely subsidized while earning money and getting not only the theoretical degree, but also the actual concrete skills. At the other side of it, if someone's in college in a bachelor's degree and finishes with a somewhat theoretical or technical leaning degree, there is the ability to then apply for an apprenticeship program where combining it with the associate's degree is not necessarily the piece that's most interesting. There are programs that just combine with related technical instruction. So that allows it to be a secondary pathway that can be finished in sometimes as little as a year. Again, this is the American system where you don't have the rigidity where it must be one of these structured programs that the German chamber has certified. And this is the reason we're very supportive of all the different initiators and sponsors of apprenticeship in the U.S. with their various models, and just want to integrate the components that are going to make them most sustainable.
Thank you. This sounds to me like the flexibility the American system offers also allows for a lot of like students or people from different backgrounds to kind of enter these programs. And I think this relates to Tony's question to kind of, could you expand a little bit more on how to get students involved in such programs and maybe say also something about the requirements for those apprentices?
So the funny thing about apprenticeship is that it's an extremely, I mean, I think you might call it hyper-local type of initiative. This ends up being county by county for the most part, that each community develops its own concept around apprenticeship that works with their own local employers. So if someone has a desire to work an apprenticeship, the first step is generally to just go into Google and to Google the name of the state, Department of Labor, or DOL, and the word apprenticeship. And the first result will be the state agency that is in charge of apprenticeship. In New Jersey, it's the Department of Labor and Workforce Development. In New York, it's the Department of Labor of New York. In Pennsylvania, it's the Department of Labor and Industry. Each organization, each state has its own organizational structure. And they all have a section on there for apprenticeship where you can search for open opportunities that already exist. There's also ways to get integrated from the perspective of a community college. So in New Jersey, the County College of Morris has a very strong program with manufacturing. The Bergen County College has a healthcare program, and again, there are these other ones such as NJIT, which is also manufacturing focused, and it's a bachelor's degree, or William Patterson, which is the IT and healthcare programs.
Thank you so much. I think this is
Sorry to interrupt myself. I would say also it's worth, if someone needs more information, the German Chamber can be a resource too. So if you reach out to me or to my team, I will definitely highlight specific resources that target the background of a person. So you don't end up blindly looking online for things and getting lost.
Thank you so much for offering that. And if someone is looking for contact information, you can find that on our website where the program is, and then also looking directly for your name, I'm guessing, with the German American Chamber of Commerce.
My information might have been on the PowerPoint that was up there, but if it wasn't, yes, the GACCNY.com is where you find all of our contacts.
Thank you. Thank you, Matthew, for this presentation, and especially also for kind of expanding a little bit on how to, get involved with those opportunities.